So then, the GTI. Now, if you're looking at the GTI, two things. Number one, I understand the 7th generation's been out for 5 years now. But with the 8th generation hopefully coming out next year, a lot of people might be looking at this car because the prices are going to go down. Two, if you're looking at this price segment, then you're probably looking at a couple other cars. And those cars are going to include the Honda Civic Si, the Focus ST, the Fiesta, you can throw in the Miata, the WRX, or even the Mazda 3-Speed. And the interesting thing is, a lot of those cars actually have more horsepower and more torque than the GTI. So why would anybody even consider the GTI? Even though the numbers are not the same as some of those other vehicles, the WRX has more horsepower, the Focus ST has more horsepower, the Mazda 3-Speed also has more horsepower. It does all those things that those other cars do. It's sporty, but it can also do so much more. Downshifter crazy. I am, but I'll explain. When I wanted to look at the WRX, I sat in one, and the interior, it's not up to par. A lot of Subarus, they're known for not having up to par interiors, not upscale interiors. But the GTI has an upscale interior. The Mazda 3-Speed, the Focus ST, they suffer sometimes from a lot of understeer and a heavy clutch. It's more raw power, it's raw. When you drive the car and you initiate the turbo, everything is there. This car has a turbo, it's sporty, but it's also a very good daily. And some of those other cars are not the best at that. Stiff suspension, uncomfortable seats, and then again, interior is not going to be upscale. I've had this car for 5 years. I had it from having it at 0 miles, and now this car, I've driven it so much, it's at 143,000 miles. I drive a lot. I drive 47 miles one way to work, so I think it's important if you either own a GTI and you want to know, okay, I've got certain mileage, what problems do I have to look for, or if you're interested in buying one, I would strongly recommend buying a Mark 7 GTI. So this car actually won Motor Trend Car of the Year. Another important thing about this car, the two-door stopped in a certain year, I believe it was around 2017. All cars that are coming out now, even for the 8th generation, are going to be 4-door. Don't understand why Volkswagen has done that, but just know that that's going to be an issue. Also, different trims that came out. This is going to be the S model. It's going to be the base, bottom of the line model. It came with halogen lights. It came with non-performance brakes, and it came with flat seats, no sunroof, no navigation, anything like that. But I've been able to throw in aftermarket parts and make it work for me. The performance package is going to come with upgraded brakes. It's going to pump out 10 more horsepower than the 217, so you're looking at 227 horsepower now. But the performance package and the base are both going to run at 258 pounds-feet of torque. This car, it's good on gas mileage. You're looking at 27 city and 31 highway. It's sporty. You notice when you're driving the car, it's very good at cornering, and Volkswagen has built the GTI forever, since 1975. So they had time to really produce their GTI. Front-wheel drive turbo cars, especially 4-cylinders, are prone to understeer. Volkswagen's actually tweaked it, so you're not getting that much understeer in some of those turns. So if you want to track this car, then just know that going into it, you're going to have a good cornering car. It's not just a 4-cylinder with a turbo in it that you don't even notice the power. The power is there. And speaking of the power, if you throw a stage 1 flash tune in it, Pro Tune, you're looking at 260, 270 horsepower. And that's from a flash tune. If you want more power, if you want to look at more Golf R or Type R or STI power, then you want to go stage 2. You throw in a downpipe, an intercooler, keep your flash tuned from stage 1, and you're looking at over 300 horsepower. If you're getting a GTI, you can easily find one, at least a 2018 and under model, for 20 grand and under. You're looking at a car that already has decent numbers for the weight of the car, and you have the ability to tune it and make it into a 300 horsepower plus car for cheap, not a lot of money, and it's easy and it's actually pretty reliable. So now I'm driving a GTI just down some residential roads, so we're not going to go fast or anything like that. But this is where the GTI shines, and it kind of outshines some of those other cars that I said before. You know, it's great to have a lot of sportiness, and a lot of purists, you know, to have a six speed, or, you know, your dual clutch system now, and something that's gonna want to go all the time, right? But if this is your daily, then you're also gonna want a car, you know, that you're gonna be able to just relax in. So now we're inside the GTI. The Mark 6 or the 6th generation, it's gonna look very similar. So if you come from the 6th generation, you're gonna notice it's not gonna be anything alien to you. Volkswagen's kind of sharpened out the vents, more sharper lines than what was in the Mark 6. Down here, there's a bit more piano black. They've put a storage area for you to put stuff in. There's a lot more piano black in this car, and that's gonna turn some heads because, one, some people prefer it. I think it looks smart, but two, obviously, if you look at it the wrong way, you're gonna get a lot of fingerprints all over it, and scratches. So what I do is I keep a microfiber towel just to kind of wipe it down. The screen in 2015, this is gonna be the smallest screen that you're actually gonna get. It's not really that small. It's actually pretty big, especially compared to the base Jetta. 2017 and up, you're looking at a bigger screen, but you're also looking at other features that came out, such as Android Auto. You get a better navigation, and you can actually mirror your phone with the Android Auto onto the screen. And you can see it's upscale. I opted out for the plaid seats because this was my first GTI, and I wanted to kind of really get that GTI feel going on. I love the plaid seats. I think it's great. If you don't like them, give it some time. They might grow on you, but if not, you also have the leather option, and those seats are just as great. It came with a golf ball shifter. I just opted out for a Black Force Industries short shifter. The golf ball shifter is great. There's nothing wrong with it. And again, these cars have such great transmissions. The dual clutch system, it's fast, it's quick, and the GTI and the Golf R, the 6-speed, it's tight. You're gonna notice that you're gonna feel like you're actually in gear. It's smooth. The WRX sometimes would kind of feel sloppy. It would feel like it would be in neutral in other gears. They fixed that issue. But again, from the get-go, Volkswagen has done its part. So the Mark 7 GTI, what Volkswagen seems to have done is they took the Mark 6, which was also a fantastic car, and they've kind of squashed it down, lowered it, but they've also sharpened up the lines a little bit. They've sharpened out the tail lights, the headlights, and instead of the rounded curvature of the Mark 6, they've just gone with a sharper, cleaner look. Mark 6 is also a beautiful car, but I actually like what they've done with the Mark 7. And with the GTI, you're going to have the redesigned front bumper that came in the 2018 models and up on the Mark 7.5. They've added canards to the front, and you also get Euro tail lights. All the GTIs and the Golf Rs share an MQB platform, which is shared upon lots of Volkswagen's other cars and manufacturers. In Europe, those are going to be like the Skoda, the Seat. In both countries, or around the world, you're going to have Audi, obviously Volkswagen, and they're all going to share those platforms. Since I've owned this car with such high mileage and I've driven so much, besides wear and tear, and besides, unfortunately, I've had to go through a lot of different sets of tires. But that's just because the DMV area roads are terrible. I have had an issue with carbon buildup. So the TSI engines especially, they suffer from carbon buildup. And what that means is after time, you're going to have carbon buildup, and it can actually affect your intake manifold. And if you don't treat it or you don't notice it in time, then you're going to have to replace the whole intake manifold, which can run you somewhere between $800 to $1,000. And that's what happened to me. So just a warning to everyone that chooses to buy one of these cars. It's not just the GTI, it's also the Golf R. It's also the S3, the A3. It's in a lot of different TSI engine cars. If you already own your GTI, forums say that every 70,000 miles you want to check. Just get you or your mechanic to check it out. They can do a manual carbon clean out, or they can use a machine to do it. It'll just get all the gunk out of there. Mark 7 is a fantastic car. Again, I think it's such a great daily for those three things. The interior is going to be upper class than some of the other cars in the segment. Performance to value ratio, you're not spending that much money for good performance. And three, it's a mixture of looks and just the ability to tune the engine. The tuning is fantastic. There's other vehicles available, and you know, if you like those cars, that's fantastic. I think the WRX is a fantastic car. All-wheel drive system is one of the best, and you can't go wrong with that car. But if you're looking at the GTI and you're even considering it, I just recommend a test drive. If you're like me, it will help guide your decision making. And 5 years later, I love this car. So that's it for me. I really hope that you enjoyed this review, and you know, I hope it answered your questions if you're interested in this car. If you do like the video, just give me a quick like and subscribe. You know, I'm trying to put out more reviews. I'll try and review different cars and keep it interesting. You know, cars that people actually want reviews on. So thank you for watching.